The reason that is important is because there is a big discussion going on in this country around policing. In a conversation I had just this weekend, it's really weird how Oklahoma City has obviously very conservative politics, but yet the discourse really sounds a lot like it does in like the New York City mayor's race, which is also happening here very soon. Um, it's hard to get anyone there to talk about meaningful reforms on the police, even though NYPD pays out millions of dollars a year in malpractice lawsuits and stuff like that, where they get caught. Obviously, there have been horrific killings by the police, even in Oklahoma City, even in New York City. And yet, people think New York, super liberal, oh, they're going to fix it all. But even they're struggling in their mayor's race to have a meaningful, reasonable conversation about policing. So Oklahoma City has two strikes really against it. One, it's a little more conservative here, for sure. But then also, we are so much worse than like many other places. And our police, according to the most available statistics we have on police violence, is the second highest per capita in killings in the country. This is a ranking that they don't seem to have any real interest in addressing. If you look at what they put out, it's a lot of propaganda and a lot of talking about how great the police are, which, it's fine. I get that the police aren't killing people every single day, but we have a lot of problems with the police and just sort of a inherent lack of willingness to even engage on those challenges. And like I said, we're the second highest per capita in killings. And in the last year, we've had many horrific examples of this. So since the protests around the murder of George Floyd, which were only a year ago, as of like last week, the Oklahoma City Police have had at least 4 high-profile killings. 6 officers have been charged for murder. That would be the killings of Benny Edwards, the homeless man that they shot in the back, Stavian Rodriguez, a 15-year-old that clearly, according to all available video evidence, dropped whatever weapon he had and was then executed by many, many, many rounds of police bullets in a extremely chaotic and highly unprofessional situation, if you were to watch it. There was the case just the other week of a man, and this one is, you can watch on I believe on the police's YouTube channel. This is their reporting of it. That's how bad it is. They tried to get ahead of it. They shot and killed a man after responding to a neighbor calling that a man was staring up at the sky, and they were worried about that, I guess. And then they passed on inaccurate information that the man had a protective order against him. And according to the police, he did not. So they investigated a man, violated his constitutional rights, and then executed him in a yard that he had every right to be in, for looking at the sky and maybe having a mental health or other issue at the moment. And then last one was the horrific police chase killing of a pregnant mother in northeast Oklahoma City. If you have not educated yourself to that one, it is extremely horrific in every facet, but namely in just the basic reasonable thought process law enforcement trying to solve a crime should manage on their own, which is they got a report of a stolen vehicle by the owner who was tracking that vehicle on his GPS. And they initiated a high-speed 95-mile-per-hour police chase at 8:30 in the morning and killed a mother who had just dropped her children off at daycare. Why you would feel the need to chase someone at 95 miles per hour during rush hour through the city for a truck that you know exactly where it's going is beyond me, but they managed it. And and now we're talking about giving them more money and, increasing their budget and presumably asking for little to no new accountability. So what are we getting out of this? So let's look at some of this. So the big changes in the police budget is they are asking for more money, but they're also going to ask for some additional funding for programs. And I'll start with the kind of the good news first, but they are going to ask for, or I guess it's not that this might not be under the police budget, but there's going to be funding for an increase in alternatives to policing, which is $300,000 for a mental health program, and then $1 million for from police task force things. This is the good news. These are the things that would be better. And so, yeah, here's the public safety stuff. These are fine. I mean, a pilot program is better than nothing. That it resides in the police department can be problematic because it could still be used with a police response. So, I mean, that is something to comment on and express concern about. And then the $1 million to fund future city council approved recommendations from task forces and working groups on community policing, human rights, and homelessness. It's fine. I mean, $1 million is better than $0. But to put it in context, the police budget is $227 million. So, I don't know. I mean, 1.3 million is something, but it's obviously a drop in the bucket. I mean, it's less than 0.5% of their overall budget, and that's just the police budget. So, and when you consider that they respond to hundreds, if not thousands, of mental health calls that they have executed now just in the last year, multiple, people suffering from mental illness, people suffering from homelessness, I think they should put more money towards alternatives, and they should be more aggressive about getting police out of violent confrontation with their citizens. As a minimum starting position. But these are kind of the things that they are going to propose. So, something to be aware of. But most of the police budget is going to restoring a lot of stuff. So you can kind of Google OKC police budget and get to it pretty easily. But restoring $3 million in positions that were frozen last year, millions to other programs that revolve around doing policing largely the way we've been doing it. So the issue gets to be is after the year we've had, after the protests, after all the high profile killings, why are we just getting kind of a regurgitated double down on everything?